So let's talk coffee for a second. I actually bought this espresso machine for my girlfriend for her birthday, and I actually thought I wasn't going to use it. Now, there actually is a very serious concern with unfiltered coffee, particularly espresso machines, increasing LDL. For those of you who don't know, LDL does increase cardiovascular disease risk, and it's quite a noticeable increase that it can cause by drinking unfiltered coffee. It's something to do with the oils in the coffee. So I thought I wasn't going to use it, and then I found out you could actually put a filter on the espresso machine. Now, this isn't a fancy machine. I got a Casa Brews. It was like 120 bucks, and it's phenomenal. The espresso comes out great every time. I really do have a big problem with like the whole the aesthetics of like the espresso porn, coffee porn. Like, the aesthetics are cool, but I really believe it makes absolutely no difference on how the coffee comes out. Like, there's probably, like, same thing with like muscle growth training. There's probably a few big things that make a big difference, and then a bunch of other shit that just doesn't matter. So I'm making my pre-workout coffee. Let's drink this on the way to the gym. I do train kind of fasted. This has like, I don't know, 30 calories in it total, but I will have an intra shake for when I train. Anybody who's been training for a while knows that you always put water at the base of your shaker before putting the powder. I'm doing a whey casein blend. The reason for that is that whey protein does not sustain muscle protein synthesis for a prolonged period, and it's going to be about 3 hours at least until my next meal. So you want some casein, you want some slow digesting protein, so it actually covers the span of the workout. So I'll just do a scoop of each, which is about 50 grams of protein, and I'll drink this during my workout. As long as it's sufficiently diluted, it shouldn't be an issue. And when I'm dieting, I don't mind having something chocolatey during my workout. This is actually the s'mores protein. Costco just started carrying it. It's fucking delicious. And then I'm gonna add some carbohydrates, about 15 grams of Gatorade powder. And so we want about an 8% solution. So what you do is you take the gram amount of powder in weight, which we're gonna have 60 grams total from the protein, another 15 from the Gatorade powder, and then another 5 from creatine. So total, that's 80 grams roughly, I think. I don't know, it's too early for me to do math. And 80 grams, that would be actually about 1,000 milliliters. So if we go here on the shaker, you can just look, 1,000 is up to this line. So you need either 2 shakers or a big shaker if you're having more than 80 grams in a, more than actually like 50 grams in a shake. And that's just to ensure you don't get digestive distress. All right, got everything made. I'm going to clean up some loose ends. I gotta mail some stuff out for my sister's birthday, for my friend for Christmas, a little late on those gifts. And then probably start my daily schedule, and then I'll take you to the gym with me. Probably gonna shoot it more vlog style today, so I'll do a voiceover for you. And that's pretty much it. Hey, what's up everybody? So I'm just gonna walk you through this workout through voiceover. So what I'm doing right here is I'm doing a good chunk of my daily steps. So when I'm dieting or in a contest prep, I'll normally just get on the treadmill before my workout, and I'll just answer client messages, direct messages, go into some of my Facebook groups, answer questions, stuff like that. And I'll do about 20 to 30 minutes on the treadmill. And by the time I'm off, I've knocked out a good 5K steps, and I can just achieve my daily steps through just walking around doing normally daily functions after that. So here I'm starting with calf raises. I'm starting with them at the beginning of my session because I'm less likely to skip them, and I'm also going to put more energy into them, be a little less fatigued when I do them. The reason I'm sequencing them this way instead of at the end of the workout also is because they're not really going to impact my back training, which I'm doing a horizontal focus pull today, because it's not a systemically taxing exercise. I could put them before, have little detriment to my training, but a lot of benefit as far as not training them when I'm tired, nor skipping them if I get busy or I'm running late or something like that. So this week I'm at a 3 RIR with my training, so about 3 reps in reserve. You'll notice the bar speeds start to slow down on a lot of these movements when I'm approaching 3 RIR. And that's a good indication that you are training hard enough, is that actual acceleration of the bar on the concentric while lifting the weight slows down. Now you may see me doing these barbell rows a little bit different than when I normally do them. I'm actually lifting up my torso as I do them. And this is so I can kind of do an eccentric overload. So I'm doing a little bit of hip flexion and extension, which I'm trying to implement that. I'm trying to increase the amount of load lifted so that I can control more through the eccentric and have more loading on the eccentric and in that stretch position. So just an experimentation. It's kind of like a flexion row to some extent, but I am using the hips a little bit. The stimulus on them has been great throughout my whole back. But I need to consider the fatigue component as prep goes on. So just experimenting with this movement. It does change the resistance profile of the exercise a little bit to where it's a little bit easier at the top. Barbell rows and Smith machine rows are usually hard at the top. So I'm making it a little bit easier at the top, a little harder towards that stretch position, which is the ideal resistance profile for muscle growth. Essentially what I'm doing here on these prime pieces, prime pieces are really cool. My gym just got them a couple months ago. Very long anticipated pieces. And they allow you to load the any range of part of the range of motion you'd like. You have peg 3, the one at the top there with all the plates on it, loading the lengthen position when I'm right here stretched out. The peg in the middle loads most throughout the full range of motion, and then the peg at the bottom loads the shorten or contracted position when I'm back here. I'm biasing towards the lengthen position, 75% of load towards the lengthen position. Because we know this is a preferential loading profile for muscle growth. Lengthened partials or partial repetitions out of the stretch position have been shown to be beneficial when compared to full ranges of motion and shortened partials in the research, and that evidence is continuing to grow. So I'm experimenting with this loading profile and generally biasing a stretched or lengthened position when the muscle is stretched out in my training. So whenever I'm using these prime pieces, I'm loading that lengthened peg 75%, and then I'm putting a little bit in the middle so that it's balanced out throughout the movement. Also here I have the chest pad all the way back so that I can get a full stretch and really reach forward. And I also have a chest pad on that so that I get a little bit more stretch. And also a lot of these chest supported rows, when you have a lot of weight, they start to hurt your sternum. So that kind of reduces that, so I can focus more on pushing close to failure. And it basically improves the SFR of the exercise because the fatigue component of me pushing my chest into that pad and getting out of breath is reduced by a great deal. Again, 3 RAR here, trying to maintain form. I do kind of do a little bit more of this thoracic flexion as I get close to failure there and I get towards the back. Again, we have another prime piece, a prime pull down. Again, we have most of the load towards the stretch position when I'm reaching up there at the top. You can see how little load is at the bottom by like the way my hand moves and stuff. And this is the opposite resistance profile than what you get with most machines, right? Where they're generally harder when you get closer to that position at the bottom. So if it's for nothing, it definitely is a different variation compared to most machines in the gym. Again, I'm making sure that I'm getting a full stretch, so I had to put that chest pad all the way back on this machine. Kind of makes it somewhat of a high row, but I pretty much exclusively feel this in my lats. So it's kind of like a lat isolation exercise. What I do on my horizontal pulling days is I usually have one vertical pulling day and a separate rep range. And then I'll do the opposite on my vertical pulling days. I'll do a lower rep range on average than I did on the other day. And then I'll do maybe a horizontal pulling movement in a higher rep range. Just this trains different muscle fibers, so there may be some benefit as far as like recovery, because some of those muscle fibers I got trained on the previous workout are recovering and they're training different ones, blah, blah, blah. But it also is nice to get like a good pump and a higher repetition exercise at the end of a session if it's for nothing else. And here I'm doing the other arm. I start with my weaker arm usually on unilateral exercises, which is my left, and then I just match to the other arm. And these are really difficult in the 15 to 20 rep range, which I think I got into. More so, I mean, in general, when you're training above that 15 rep range and above, the pain kind of does interfere with our ability to be able to gauge proximity to failure. So you generally have to push a little harder on average, and that's what the research shows as well. People tend to be less accurate estimating RAR when they are in higher repetition ranges, off by about 2 reps or so. So on average, generally better to maybe somewhat underestimate in low rep ranges and overestimate in higher rep ranges. All right, so this is my post-workout meal. It's about 12 now, so I've been home for about an hour. You saw me unbox my new computer, so that's getting set up right now, and then I'm gonna head to work. But this is my post-workout meal that I generally have throughout prep. I generally do like to have something sweet after I work out. So I did oatmeal, Greek yogurt, peanut butter, and frozen blueberries. And this is like one of my favorite meals that I like eating throughout my whole diet, and I usually keep it in most of the diet. Yeah, it's delicious. You can see I'm using a very tiny spoon. When I start dieting, I tend to use smaller utensils, and there is some research to back that this, with the food perception and the contrast, makes you feel like you're eating a lot. It also helps me pace my eating a lot too, because I do tend to eat really fast. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm gonna eat this, shower, and then get to work when my computer's ready to go. I did show you my AM session. I believe I'm gonna be splitting my Monday, Tuesday workouts, AM, PM, this mesocycle, just because I like getting a workout in, coming home, getting some work done, getting a nap. So I'll just be showing you my AM workout because the video would be too long, but I will be showing you other workouts throughout this mesocycle and throughout this contest prep as well. So I just want to thank you guys for tuning in. If you like the vlog, let me know. And you want to see more like it, feel free to subscribe, and I will be posting these up along with other content throughout the next 6 months plus. So thanks for tuning in. Talk to you guys soon.